What programming languages should you learn in 2017? Hey guys, Dane here from Start Here FM and Dane.io, and today I'm coming at you with a quick video. I don't want this one to be too long. I just really want to cover what do I think are the best languages to learn in 2017. There's been a bunch of YouTube videos on this topic already from other YouTubers. You probably have seen those. There's a bunch of articles written, but I'm going to come at you with a little bit of a different flavor, a little bit of a different take on this topic. Here's what I'll say the best thing to learn in 2017 is. Or let me rephrase. What is the best programming language to learn / what is the best thing to do as a developer in 2017? I'll kind of combine those two, right? So let's start in reverse order. Let's start with what is the best thing to do in 2017 as a developer. So I love Jim Rohn's quote. He says one time he was giving a talk for a group of executives at Standard Oil in like the 70s. And they asked him, Jim, do you know what the 80s are going to be like? And he said, you know, I do know. I know exactly what they're going to be like. I'm so glad you asked. I happen to know the information. Like I have the information. And they like leaned in and got really interested. And he said, you know, the 80s, it's going to be about like it's always been. It's going to be just like it was in the 70s and just like it was in the 60s. And obviously he was kind of making a joke, but he was making a point, and I'm kind of relaying that point to you today. And the Standard Oil executives were looking for tactics. What are the trends of the 80s? And that's a valid question. Just like for you, it's a valid question to ask, what are the tactics for you, aka what is the programming language to best learn in 2017? That's a valid question. Not saying it's not. But I will say, in 2017, I'll parrot Jim Rohn, it's going to be about like it's always been. It's going to require about the same things that it always did. Your future is going to be created about like it always would have been if you didn't focus so much on tactics. So for instance, if you're focused every year on switching to the most trendy language, I can guarantee you you're underperforming because you're not gaining mastery of one thing. So what I'm trying to say is, in 2017, I want you to do what I would have recommended in 2016 or 2015 or 2013 or 2012. Any year, I want you to pick one language that is based on your goal. And we're going to have other videos, maybe in the past and definitely more videos in the future on this topic. But I want you to pick the programming language that is best for your goal. And then I want you to learn that. And that's it. That's the answer. It's not what is the best thing for 2017. Again, that is a valid question. I'm not saying that's not a valid question. I'm just coming at you with a little bit of a different flavor that you might need to hear. A little bit of a different angle, right? So again, it's not about what for this angle specifically, it's not about what is the best language to learn in 2017 for me right now, giving you advice. It's not about that. It's about what are your goals. So for instance, if you want to work in a corporation, you should be learning Java. If you want to work in a startup, you should be learning Ruby. If you or JavaScript or something like that. If you want to work if you want to work in the intelligence community doing like geospatial data or something like that, you should be learning Java. If you want to work in certain types of corporations, you should be learning C# or something like that. If you want to be working on enterprise software development, maybe you should be learning C#. So it's all about your goals. And the reason that nobody picks what to learn in this way is because nobody talks about this. I've never met anybody that talks about what I'm saying to you right now. I've never met anybody that said, hey, Dane, learn the programming language that best aligns with your goal. Nobody says that. I don't know what is going on. I've watched before I recorded this video, I watched 5 YouTube videos of people giving their recommendations for programming languages to learn in 2017. And, some of them, and they were all great videos, right? One of them said to learn Java. One of them said C#'s on the rise. One of them said to learn JavaScript, obviously, because it's huge right now. So these are all great videos. But what blows me away is nobody's telling you the truth. Nobody's telling you the real facts. The real facts are, it's not about what programming language to learn in the year. It's about what programming language you want to learn for the goals that you have. And as a developer, again, if you watch my previous video on how to set goals, that goal is a job title, and the job title better be specific. So like junior JavaScript engineer, junior front-end engineer, parentheses JavaScript, or something like that. Junior back-end developer, parentheses Ruby, or something like that. Be specific. Now, a lot of people don't know how to pick a language based on their goals because nobody's ever told them what that is. I've never heard anybody talk about this, but I'll break it down for you in this way. There's a couple of different different types of companies that you can possibly work at. You can work at a digital agency, which is a company that gets projects and then completes them, and that's the entirety of this business. A digital agency, a creative agency, etc. That's one. The other one is in government. That's two. That could be any type of government. Third is in a medium to large size company or corporation. So that's three. So we have digital agency, government, medium to large size company / corporation. And then the fourth is a startup. Doesn't have to be in Silicon Valley. A startup meaning a technology focused company in anywhere in the world. The fifth one is a small business that doesn't necessarily have a focus on technology. That's the fifth one. So those are all the different types of companies that I've seen in my life, and I could be leaving some out. I'm actually writing an ebook on this that really shows you all the types of companies you can join and the languages to learn for them. Because I don't know why nobody talks about this. All digital agencies, so digital agencies, if you want to work there, I'll kind of give you a preview. If you want to work at a digital agency, you have a vast array of languages that you can choose. But what you want to do is you want to pick what type of company you want to work at. Let's say you decide, I don't like government, corporates, or big companies. Okay, that's valid. So you want to work at a digital agency or a startup. So these are the two options. In this case, what you do is startups and digital agencies, there's so many languages that you could learn. So you might be asking, okay, so how do I pick the language based on my goal? My goal is to work at a startup or a digital agency. So now what do? How do I pick the right language? It's as simple as this, guys. Go online to the city that you want to live in. It doesn't have to be your current city. The city that you want to live in. Find job titles that are the job titles that are your goal, and then look at what languages they require. Make sure the company and the job title aligns to the type of company you want to work at and the job title you want. So it's a startup in Silicon Valley and it's a JavaScript engineer, junior JavaScript engineer. So make sure all of that aligns and just look at the languages they list. You know, we would appreciate experience in C#. We would appreciate experience in Ruby, blah, blah, blah. Whatever it is, right? Excuse me, I'm getting kind of hoarse. That's your goal. You've defined it. You've defined the path. You've defined the programming language to learn. You've defined the type of company you want to work at. You've defined the place that you want to live. And now you've reverse engineered it all, and you found the language that you need to learn in 2017. 2017, you don't need to learn a language based on any kind of thing that I tell you, any kind of trend that I can come up with. Guess what? JavaScript grew 98% this year based on industry polls. Okay, well, that's almost 100% growth in the job market for JavaScript. So maybe you should just learn JavaScript. That doesn't make any sense. That's willy-nilly approach to life. This willy-nilly shit, you gotta stop it. You need to stop this willy-nilly stuff because this is the ruination of most people's hopes and dreams. I promise you that. Dabbling is going to ruin you. What you need to do is you need to find your goal, the type of company you want to work at, the job title you want, and then where you want to live. Research the hell out of that. Reverse engineer the language that you found most common, and then that's the language you learn in 2017. That's it. That's how you do it. Not through listening to people talk about trends, but through direction. You've directed your choices, right? So you're going down a direction. Now, here's the thing that stops a lot of people at this point. You might have bought into everything that I've said, but now you might say, well, what if I learn the wrong thing? That's a big problem. A lot of people email me asking about this. Like, well, and in fact, this might be the most common email I get, which is, look, Dane, I love what you're saying, and I appreciate the focus, concept, and I appreciate the direction and all this, but, I don't want to go in the wrong direction. I don't want to go in the wrong path. And that's powerful. I mean, that is a serious problem. I'm not undervaluing that problem. That's a serious issue, and I appreciate that. But what I will say to you is, when you're starting your career and or when you've plateaued, if you're ever at a plateau or you haven't yet started, you have to kind of just get going. You kind of just have to get going. As long as you're not going in the complete opposite direction, you're going to be okay. So if you're trying to travel from San Diego to Los Angeles, any sort of direction north, no matter which direction you take, it doesn't have to be the straight line to LA. Any sort of north direction will end up getting you there in due time. But if you're going to Mexico, you're not going to get there, right? So I'm kind of baking all of that in to this recommendation. When I tell you to pick a job place that you want to work at, to pick a location, to research the companies at that location in that job type, and then extract the language, and then focus on learning only that language. All of that advice is sort of taking into account everything that I just said, right? So I believe truly, if you follow that advice, you're going towards your destination. It might not be a straight line. So for instance, you might work at a startup for 2 years after learning Ruby and decide you hate it. I've never met anybody like that, but maybe that's you. You might decide that you really made a mistake learning Java because you don't want to you've maybe worked at 3 companies that needed Java developers, and each one you didn't like the culture. That's a valid realization. But the thing is, you're still marching north. You're still marching forward towards your ultimate goal of being an amazing whatever your goal is. I mean, to be a senior engineer, to be a high-level engineer, whatever your goal is, to make an impact, whatever it is, right? You're still marching towards that destination. The only way in this scenario for you to be going south to Mexico, the opposite of your goal, the only way is to listen to everybody else that tells you to learn a language because it's trendy in 2017. That's a damn sure way to be marching south to Mexico and away from your goals if your goal is to get to Los Angeles. If your goal is to get to Mexico, then do that. If your goal is to never be super successful, then jump around, be trendy. Don't gain mastery over any one thing. Don't focus. All of that is going to lead you to feeling inadequate. All the emails I get from people that have bounced around and jumped around from language to language, they feel inadequate. And if you feel inadequate, you can't get a job. You have to have some confidence to be able to get a job. And this applies even if you already have a job. I'm talking to you because you have to level up. You want to be a system architect or a senior engineer or a senior data scientist, whatever it is, I'm talking to you. Even if you're a junior and you want to go to mid-level, or you're not a developer, you want to become a junior, I'm talking to you. This path is going to be best achieved with direction, not with listening to people telling you about trendy stuff to do. those videos get a lot of views and get a lot of attention. And you should be excited by that, because everybody else is going this way, and what you're going to do is you're turning the wheel, completely turning the wheel, and you're going the opposite direction. And that makes me excited. Anytime I see a lot of people going the wrong direction, anytime I see most people focusing on the wrong thing, most people getting obsessed over the wrong thing to be obsessed about, I get excited and fired up, because there's so much opportunity. It's so available, because all you have to do is go the opposite direction and there's nobody walking with you. And all the opportunity is abounds in that direction, right? The doors open in that direction. Trust me, I've done this in every way throughout my career. Whether it's seeing people not jump on a trend and jumping on a trend, whether it's seeing too many people jump on a trend and me backing off and going the opposite direction of a trend, which is kind of what I'm telling you to do here. This applies to every area of life too, not just this. You can take this mentality of, what are most people doing? Okay, they're probably doing the wrong thing. Of course, that's not always true. That's not always true, but it's usually true. It's usually true. So, analyze, are they doing the wrong thing? If not, maybe you want to do that too. Maybe that's the way to do it. Then you can say, okay, well, if they are doing the wrong thing, what is the opposite? What can I do that's opposite? And trust me, the opposite of being trendy and picking languages based on 2017 or 2016 or whatever, the opposite of that is picking a language based on the type of job you want, the place you want to live, the career you want, the goals you have, and then only focusing on that one language. Here's how you know something's the right thing to do. If you went to a JavaScript meetup or a front-end meetup, or no, let's say you went to a back-end meetup and it was in Boston, which is like a popular meetup spot where in Boston there's like this proliferation of functional programming. So everybody's learning like 10 languages. It's great. I love Boston. So at the meetups, they're talking about Elm and Elixir and Haskell, and everybody's learning this and that and this and all these trendy things, right? So what if you went to that meetup, and this is a good way to tell if you're going the right direction. You go to a meetup and you're like, somebody asks you, oh, what are some fun things that you're learning? And you're just like, oh, I'm focused on Ruby, right? Ruby is not trendy anymore, right? Oh, I'm focused on Ruby. I've been learning it for 4 years and I'm getting better at it. I'm gonna master, I've got mastery over it. They would laugh at you. Or they would be like, oh, this is weird. Who's this guy? He's not like us. He's not jumping to the new thing, moving on to the new thing. Guess what? Aaron Patterson, he's followed that path that I'm describing. And he's somebody that we all look up to. All these people that we all look up to, like DHH, they didn't do what most people do. That's what's so astounding. Nobody can observe, or very few people can observe and see that. So for you, picture in your mind going to a meetup and saying that, doing that type of thing. Like, imagine going to a front-end meetup and not knowing what Bower is or Gulp is or all these freaking ridiculous, all these crazy front-end technologies that get created. Imagine not knowing those. People are going to look at you and be like, whoa, that's crazy. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to have focus and intentionality. It's okay to learn all those things. It's okay to learn Bower and Gulp. I'm not talking smack about any of that stuff. I love Haskell too. And Elm is fun, and I love Elixir too, right? So I've learned all that stuff too. But I'm encouraging you to have a little bit more focus than everybody else. I'm encouraging you to have a little bit more specificity than everybody else. And I'm encouraging you to base your decisions on goals that you've projected out in front of you and then reverse engineered. And if you do that, I'm confident that everybody else will eventually come to you and ask you how you did that, because that's how it works. Anyway, I'll wrap it up here. Super long video. I hope this helped. Leave a comment below. Just tell me, what did you get of value out of this video? Is there anything that you liked, anything you didn't like? Do you disagree? I'm happy if people don't agree with me. If you don't agree, please try to back it up with some kind of thing like, oh, I jumped around to 3 different languages and I got my favorite job. Like, I love that. That's anecdotal because it's just your opinion, but this is anecdotal too. It's just my opinion, right? And having worked with students and stuff like that too. So go ahead, put below, do you agree or disagree? What did you get out of this video? What is something that you're going to take away and use from this video? Is it the focus? Is it the passion? And then also ask me any questions. If you don't understand this concept of what types of job companies you can work at, if you don't understand this concept of picking a location that you want to work and then finding job posts, if you don't understand something, comment below, leave me a little question, and I'll get back to you. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, bye.